Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. And what we're going to make is a very plain and simple cake that's, well, just perfect for about any occasion that you want to make it for. You're going to bake it actually in a 9-inch pan. Round pan works really well. Grease it well and dust it, or use your parchment paper, whatever that you prefer, okay? Now this particular plain cake though is an oatmeal cake. So, you know, many of us find it to be more of a healthy version if you're going to have a piece of cake. So let's get started. We're first going to start off with our wet mixture, and we're going to start off with granulated sugar. And you're going to be using 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. Now if you want to use your hand mixer, please feel free. I like my stand-up because I think it's faster for the video. And the next thing that you're going to put in is half of a cup. I'm sorry, I want to correct myself. I apologize. 1/4 of a cup of oil. That's 1/4 of a cup, okay? Now, on the oil, use whatever type of oil that you prefer, okay? Because, you know, everyone likes a different type of oil, so you decide on that. And I'm just going to bring the oil and the granulated sugar together. All right, you're also going to be putting in a teaspoon of vanilla. So I'm going to beat that in. And then you're going to put in 2 eggs at room temperature, and I'm going to put one at a time. If you have large, that would be the best. That till it becomes quite fluffy. It shouldn't take you long at all. Maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes tops, something like that. Okay, now on the dry ingredients, you're going to need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. You're also going to be needing 1.25 cups of your rolled oats. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in this bowl to make it a little easier. Okay, the next thing that you're going to be putting in is 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. That was 1.5 teaspoons. You're also going to be putting in 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. That was 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And you're going to put a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And you're going to put 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And I'm just going to grab a spoon quickly here and just bring it in together a little bit. Just stir it a little bit. Now, I'm just going to bring my mixer over a little bit closer to the camera. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start putting the dry with the wet, and then I'm going to alternate it with milk. Now you need about 3/4 cup of milk. So I'm going to just start to put a little of this dry into my mixer, turn it on low. Just add it gradually as I need it. And then start using that milk. And just keep alternating it. A little at a time. I'm going to put the rest of my dry in and the rest of my milk. And then I'm just going to beat it till it's smooth and it's well put together. Combined. Okay. And you really don't have to, you know, do this on high speed or anything like that, just a low speed. Now I'm just making sure that, you know, nothing's sticking on the bottom of this mixing bowl. So I'm going to just turn my mixer on just for another second or so. Once your batter is all come together. I'm just going to try to take the excess off my my beater here. Set it aside. And I'm going to give it just a real quick stir again. You can see how pretty that batter is. It's very smooth and very light. It's not a real heavy or a dense cake. And then I'm just going to, of course, pour it into my pan. All right. I want to get it all out. We don't want to, you know, waste anything. All right. And I'll just take the excess off my spatula here. All right, now you're going to be putting this in a preheated oven at 350 degrees, and it's going to take you at least up to 30 minutes. I've had, sometimes making this cake, it's been a little bit longer than 30 minutes by a few minutes, and there's been times where it's under 30 minutes, but generally speaking, around 30 minutes to bake this. Now, once you bake this, you'll want to put it on a cooling rack for at least 10 minutes before you plate it, because otherwise it will break up. Now, the top of the cake will have a few cracks, that type of thing. I'm going to just rinse my hands real quick here. So, you know, I want to tell you ahead of time that the cake could have some cracks on it, okay? And it will bake up beautifully like this. And I don't know if you can see it, but it does bake up quite tall for a 9-inch. And then what I like to do is I just dust powdered sugar on top. Now, you could put an icing over it or a glaze. I have many of them on my channels with over 600 videos. I have, you know, a lot of icings and frostings, but I like this particularly, you know, like I said, just dusted with powdered sugar on the top, okay? And, you know, just sprinkle it on top, and you can usually get about 10 servings out of this cake. Now let's cut into it. Okay, so I want to grab the right knife for it here, because I'd like for you to see the you know, the texture. Now the outside will be a you know, a harder, a crisp top. As you see when you start cutting into it, it is, because it's so delicate, it will, you know, flake a bit for you and break up. And then I don't know if you can see, but how moist and how it's so light and so delicate, this cake. It really, you can serve it with like fresh berries or sliced fruit, and then maybe a little bit of whipped topping or whipped cream on top. Oh, it's just absolutely delicious. I have a family member that really likes to eat it when it's just slightly warm, then completely cold, and then with some whipped cream. So everyone has a different way how they want to enjoy this cake. But it is so moist. I don't know if you can see the crumb on that. It's just breaking away. It's so light, so delicate. It really makes for such a delicious little cake, even though, you know, it's quite plain in nature. I also want to tell you that if you try this recipe and you like it, well, leave a comment. I'd really like to hear from you. What I also want to remind you also is to please watch my videos solely on YouTube. For many of us that have videos on YouTube, many people are copying and taking our videos and putting them on other websites. Well, the problem is when you write to me, or you have a question, or you have a comment, I'm not getting any of those comments, and I can't answer you, and it is quite frustrating. So please watch my videos, as well as other people that put YouTube videos, we really would appreciate you watching us on YouTube, not any other website, for me, that is. And if you'd like to give me a like, I'd really appreciate it. Even better, if you're so inclined and you want to subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic. I want to thank you for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube and spending this time with me. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.